What do you make of thousands of people gathering together in Hyde Park to protest a crime in another country, leaving aside all of the politics, and how risky it is for people to break the law, which they were doing, meeting in groups of more than 6, even though they're outside, very, very, very close together, when we're in the middle of a pandemic? What were your thoughts on that, purely speaking medically?
Julia, I was sitting in my clinic yesterday wearing my mask, my goggles, my visor, my gloves, and in between patients I saw these images, and I have to say I was on the verge of tears. I'm past angry. I actually was going to cry, because I was upset. I'm worried for those people. I'm worried for the black lives that were there. I'm not even, I know people get angry, people get into rage about these things, and rage about Dominic Cummings and so on. I'm past angry. I think, what is the point? I've been working hard. You know, our clinic hasn't closed. We've been talking patients with coronavirus through their symptoms. We've been treating people. We've been testing people. We've been encouraging our staff to come to work and provide them with PPE. We're working round the clock. You know, my wife and I were up till 10 o'clock last night just dealing with results. And I look at these images and I think, what is the point? Why are people doing it? Surely it's been clear. You know, where does the message you can meet with 5 people translate into you can meet with 5,000? I'm just gobsmacked. I really cannot. As you can hear, I'm actually lost for words, because I'm just so shocked at those images and the behaviour of people.
I'm also pretty shocked by the behaviour of the police in not doing anything about it. Lots of people are saying on Twitter, well, you know, this is an important protest. This really matters. This is very different from people having a jolly on the beach. But I don't know if coronavirus got that memo. Do you?
No, exactly. And you know, the rage about a man driving up to Durham and back went on for days. I don't see the same media outlets. I mean, you've been consistent. You criticised Dominic Cummings quite strongly, and you're the opposite of a hypocrite. I know someone accused you wrongly of being a hypocrite, and you're not. You've been absolutely consistent about this, but I don't see that consistency, and I think the behaviour, not just of the people, but the way that the media have reported this, it distresses me enormously. I'm not sure the police can do anything in this country. I think the police in this country decided to take a softly approach, because it's not a UK issue. I understand people want to support an issue and show their support and perhaps send a message to Donald Trump. I understand all of that. But my goodness, it was madness. I mean, it was madness seeing people on the beaches last weekend. That was bad enough. But this, and particularly as we know that black and ethnic minority people may well be more susceptible to this virus, and that's who I was crying for yesterday. I was crying for them. I'm not angry for myself anymore. I was crying for them in our capital city, which has done well to eradicate this virus virtually. And I'm just sitting now waiting to see if this is going to affect them and affect their health. And of course, they're going to go home. I saw someone say, oh, they're young people, it doesn't matter. But they're going to go home. They're going to be living with older people. They're going to be making contact with older people. So this completely defies any logical explanation as far as I can see.
I just think there will be people right now just cheering, listening to it on the radio. Someone actually speaking out this. I am genuinely appalled. I'm going to be talking about this all morning, because I am absolutely stunned that, if we could go on to our next topic, talking about going on a holiday and getting quarantined. So if I go on holiday somewhere and don't have contact with anyone at all, and I get off a plane, I'd have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine. And apparently the police could come round and I could be fined £1,000. But I can spend hours and hours and hours mixing with lots and lots of people in Hyde Park. But because I'm protesting about something terrible that happened on the other side of the Atlantic, then somehow that absolutely absolves me of any legal responsibility to obey the law. Let's talk about the quarantine plan, though, because Boris Johnson basically made it clear it is going to go ahead. Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, made that clear as well. However, he did hint that there will be a review at the end of June and that there could be air bridges. Portugal looks like the best possibility, but many are arguing, including the likes of Theresa May, the former Prime Minister, that this is economic isolation. Scientists on stage say they won't consult. consultant, Patrick Balance, says it would only be effective as a measure to control the virus if we were talking about people arriving from countries with high rates of infection. It's totally unenforceable, completely free for many exemptions. You can fly in from Ireland and fly in from anywhere in the world and not face quarantine. What do you make of this quarantine policy? Should it go ahead or not?
I think it actually makes some sense. When you look at the figures in South America, Brazil, North America, Mexico, and even in Russia, I'm not sure that there are countries in the world where this virus is under control. And we rightly criticise when 15,000 people a day were flying in from Italy and other parts at the beginning of the pandemic. I am concerned that we have worked very hard for a long time, and I really don't want this virus coming in from certain countries. Now, can someone fly from Brazil to Portugal and then to the UK? And would they be permitted by the air bridge? I don't know. I actually believe for a short time we need to be careful and to watch the numbers decreasing elsewhere in the world. I can see the anomalies. I can see it's going to stop people going on holiday and all of that sort of thing. But there are significant hotspots around the world. Yeah. We should have done this certainly with Italy back in February and March.
It's thought that actually the concern about people flying in from Wuhan, from China, was actually misplaced. That's not where the infection arrived in our country. It came from Spain and Italy. Largely, of course, it would have been Brits coming back from holidays themselves. Yeah. But wouldn't the argument be that this should be about testing and tracing and testing people at the airport? That's what happens in Southeast Asian countries. They're not got a complete travel ban, but they're just testing people. And instead of a blunt instrument, just accept the fact, right, you're going to spend hours and hours in the airport being tested, but at least you're going to be able to be free and know you're safe and know you're not a risk to other people afterwards.
Yes, I mean, the throat swabs we're doing now are taking 1 to 2 days to come back. So that begs the question, what does someone do for those 1 to 2 days while you're waiting for the results? I actually think temperature checks are simple enough. Nowadays, with these infrared thermometers you just point at the forehead, I think that would be reasonable. And anyone with a temperature, you take their details and you tell them to self-isolate and quarantine, and you can check up on them. I think that actually makes a lot of sense. I'm hoping that common sense will prevail here, and it's watered down, but I still think that, as I say, there are places. Brazil is having a terrible problem now with coronavirus, and we don't really want people coming in with that virus. We see a lot of travellers from Brazil. It's one of the commonest foreign countries that people come to London from. We see these young people, students and so on, and we don't really want a spike to come after all the hard work we've done. So at one level, I do support this partly.
Okay, right. Well, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you this morning, Dr Laurence Gerlis. Lots of politics involved in that medical coverage. I, as a GP, it's same-day doctor. I think many people will agree with you. 6:45 is the time. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Benedict Spence, look at some of those front pages. And you are listening to The Breakfast Show on Talk Radio with Julia Hartley-Brewer, powered by The Times. Know your times.